Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I have a brush collection video today, so I'm going to be talking through the brushes that I own and what sort of brands they're from. Now I have 2 pots of brushes that I store on my dressing table here. The pots on the left are mostly big face or base makeup brushes, and then the pot on the left are some smaller base brushes, mini ones as well, and then eyeshadow brushes and a couple of nail files thrown in for storage there as well. The one on the right fits quite nicely under the shelf of my dressing table here, but the one on the left sadly doesn't. And I am storing my makeup brushes in pen holders here. Now you can get some really nice fancy makeup brush holders. They look really pretty for your dressing table, but I've just got these little pen holders here that I think are from Amazon. And they are fairly cheap as well, so you can spend lots of money on holders for your makeup brushes, but if you don't want to, if you just want something simple and practical, then look out for pen holders. Okay, so let's go through the big makeup brush pot here. So this is what this one looks like. So this big one here, this is the biggest brush I own, and this is from Makeup Revolution, and this is a really big powder, face powder brush. So this is what I use if I want a nice big sweep of face powder, loose translucent powder all over my face. If I want a really nice diffused bronzer as well, I might sometimes use this, although it is a little bit big. But this is also quite nice for putting powder on your body, so if you want bronzer on your arms or your legs or your décolleté in the summer months, then this brush kind of fits the bill. So if I'm being a bit lazy with loose powder on my face, this is the brush that I would use, and it has quite a nice tapered handle as well. And I think this was about £12 maybe, so quite a good bargain with that one. Another face brush I've got is this one here. I shouldn't pull it from the bristles, I know. Is by Zoeva, and I got this at Christmas last year. For Christmas I got a brush set from Zoeva, so any Zoeva brushes you see in this video are in that set, and I can't remember exactly what the set was called. I will try to find it, but they do lots of different sets, so if you are after some really good brushes, I would really recommend Zoeva. They are so nice, so soft, so easy to use. They wash really nicely as well, they don't really stain. So they're really good, and I've had them for nearly a year now, and the quality is still really, really good. They're not losing any hairs, so I would recommend. And it also says on the handle as well what the brush is for. So this says powder. So this is just a smaller version of my Makeup Revolution brush, and that's what it is like. So again, really good for loose translucent setting powder or also a nice bronzer. Really like that brush. So next one is this buffer brush. So it's kind of like a flat topped brush. So this is nice for liquid foundations, and it's slightly dense but still fairly kind of fluffy, and they're just so soft. They're really lovely. Next is this silk finish brush. Now to be honest, I'm not really sure what the purpose of this one is, but this one I use as well for liquid foundation. So it's a round brush, fairly kind of like medium in size, so you can be fairly precise with this one. Next I have this cream cheek brush, which I love. Works really nice for cream products, so the cream blusher I had that I've now decluttered, that works really nicely with this. Also for my Fenty cream bronzer as well, this one is also nice. So it's fairly kind of slim, and then it's angled as well, and again super soft. But although this says cream cheek, this is also really nice for powder blushes as well, and also contour products if you want to create more of like a sculpted effect. So really love this brush here. This is probably one that I would quite like to have maybe 2 or 3 of. It's just really useful. So that's it for Zoeva brushes in this first brush pot holder. But I do have some Morphe ones. A few years ago I bought a Morphe brush set, and it had some face base brushes and also some eye brushes as well. But I think I decluttered most of the eyeshadow brushes from Morphe. We'll see when we move on to the next pot. I can't quite remember. What I don't like about these brushes is that it doesn't actually say on the brush what it's for. I mean, yes, if you've been applying makeup for a while, you can probably have a really good educated guess, but sometimes I'm having a bit of a slow day, so I would just like the brush to kind of make it clear for me. But this one I use for liquid foundations, also sort of like powder bronzers if I want a bit more of like a rounded effect to my bronzer. The brush quality again is nice, soft but not as soft as Zoeva. And then I've got this one here, which is more of an angled brush. Don't really know the purpose of this brush here, but again, I would use this one for foundations, liquid foundations, or a sort of like cream cheek product. Because it's angled, you can kind of get that sculpted effect. A couple of Real Techniques ones. This one is the Expert Face brush, real classic brush from Real Techniques here. Has a fairly sort of like slim head and it's rounded, and this one is really nice for applying your foundation. And I do use powder and liquid with this brush, and this one is also quite handy as well for blending out concealer when I'm being a little bit lazy and I don't use a separate brush for my concealer. Another Real Techniques one, this one is, I don't know, it's been rubbed off, but it's just a standard sort of like round brush. Again, I think I would use this one for either sort of like liquid foundations or things like bronzers or blushes if I want more of a rounded effect. This one is really nice for really sort of like buffing out cheek products. I have a Bare Minerals one here. This is the Smoothing Face brush, and this one I got with the Complexion Rescue. I think they're designed to go together, and it is a bit of a sort of like stippling effect type of brush. You do sometimes see brush strokes with this brush though, so just kind of like bear that in mind. But I like this one for cream cheek products. This is quite often the brush I would use for my cream blusher. And this looks like it would be quite harsh, but it's not. It is really soft. Bare Minerals do some lovely brushes. So if you are after some good brushes, Bare Minerals is a good brand, but they are quite expensive. Well, more expensive than brands like Real Techniques. So maybe look out for brush sets when it comes to Bare Minerals. This is an Avon brush. This is just like a standard face powder brush. Really nice this one is. I don't often buy from Avon, but I picked this one up probably a couple of years ago. Really quite a handy brush, quite a versatile one. I do also use this for bronzers and blushes as well. Again, probably one of those brushes that I would quite like to have a couple of. And this is the Lily and Lolo one, which I got quite a few years ago. I wanted a new blusher brush, so I picked this one up. This one is really good. Quality is really good. You can be quite precise with it as well, or diffuse it out. And again, it is very soft actually. And because I've had this for quite a few years, I haven't actually noticed a lot of the hairs coming out, so the quality of this is pretty good. And then this is just like a mini little plastic spatula that I use to scoop out product from tubes. Okay, let's go through the next makeup brush pot. So I do have some more base brushes in this pot here. So like another Expert Face brush by Real Techniques. If I find a good makeup brush that I like, I do like to get more than one. So I do have another one here. Then I have another Real Techniques one, and this is a setting powder brush. So this is quite a good one for setting your under eyes. So setting the concealer you put underneath your eyes with a bit of loose powder. Also, this is quite nice for highlighter as well. So again, probably one that I would probably want a couple of. Then I have just a standard nail file, and then in here I have a glass nail file as well. So let's get those out of the way. More base brushes. I have this. Oh my goodness. Oh dear. You know what? It's been threatening to do this for quite a while. I might have to sellotape that down. This is a Bare Minerals brush. This is a tapered face brush. So again, this one is quite nice for loose powder or any sort of like cheek products, so bronzer or blusher. But yeah, it has come off. It was getting a little bit loose for a while, so that's not good, especially from a brand like Bare Minerals. But again, a really lovely brush, really super soft. Again, quite a versatile one. And it's nice with this one that the handle isn't super long as well. I also have some mini brushes in here. So I have a few Real Techniques mini brushes. Sometimes these do get lost in the pot. This is a Real Techniques one, and this is the mini multitask brush. So a really nice, big, fluffy head. Again, really good for loose translucent setting powder or a really nice diffused bronzer effect. And I love these mini brushes. So I wear glasses, So when I do my makeup, I rarely have, contact lenses in, so I'm kind of doing them on bad eyesight. So I have to get quite close to the mirror, and quite often when I use a normal size makeup brush, the handle knocks into the mirror and I can't get as close to the mirror as I would like. So these mini brushes are just so handy. They're a really good idea. So it means that I can still apply my makeup pretty well, and I can get super close to the mirror and see everything that I need to see. So really love these mini brushes. This one in particular, really handy. I also have another one from Real Techniques, which is a mini medium sculpting brush. So this is more for your contour, bronzer, blusher as well. So a bit more of a dense, compacted brush. Again, super soft. Love the mini handle. Really, really handy brush. And I have a third one, which is a mini expert face brush. So just like the longer one here, but just a mini version. You see what I mean? The difference in handle size, it's just, it makes it so much more convenient for people like myself who have quite bad eyesight. And then the last sort of like face base type brushes I've got are things like this Zoeva face shape brush. Again, don't really know exactly what this one is designed for. Maybe things like precise contouring, but I use this kind of to blend in concealer under my eyes. It is a little bit too big for that, but I do sometimes use it for that. But then I do also have some concealer brushes as well. So I have this concealer brush here by Real Techniques. And then I do have one from Zoeva. Is it this one? Yeah, concealer buffer, this one here. So nice round brush head, and that's just really handy for buffing in your concealer underneath your eyes. Even though I'm not a massive fan of how concealer looks under my eyes with a brush, I much prefer to use my mini sponges by Real Techniques that are here. And then I think the rest are all eyeshadow brushes. So if I try to kind of keep it by brand, so let's go through the rest of my Zoeva brushes. There is this contour shader here, so an angled shader brush, so really good for detailing, like getting more intensity in like your outer corner. There's this one that I don't often use, to be honest, and this is a brow line brush, so this is more for, I guess, if you use things like brow pomades. Focus. I do sometimes use this for sort of like smudging out an eyeliner on my upper lid. The ones that I use fairly often are ones like this Luxe crease brush here, so a real nice fluffy brush head. This is really nice for your transition shade in your crease, for blending out your eye look at the end, just making sure it's all seamless. I use this one a lot. I really could do with getting quite a few more of these ones. I might actually look into it. There's also a smaller one as well, which is this one here, which is the Luxe Petite Crease. So just like the other one, but a petite version. Yeah, so just a smaller version. So if I compare them, that's what they look like. So this one here is the petite one, and then the one to the right is the standard kind of crease brush. Really handy to have two. Other Zoeva ones are ones like this soft definer. So this is what I would use to sort of like sweep a nude shadow under my brow bone. I also use this for the crease transition shade as well. I also use a nude eyeshadow to kind of like tidy up the eyeshadow look at the end as well. So again, a really handy brush to have. I've also got this smoky shader brush here. So this is what I use for sort of like packing on pigment, or if I go for like foiled or shimmery shades, this is the brush I use for that. So it's a real like domed, flat, thin type of brush. But to be honest, sometimes the shadows that I would use with this brush, I tend to just use my finger for. Then I've got this one, which I also use quite often as well. This is an angled brush that I use for a like powder eyeliner, or if I want to like blend out a pencil eyeliner, this is the brush that I would use. It's a very thin liner pencil, quite compact. So yeah, quite handy for blending out either pencil or eyeshadow eyeliners, and it's called the Wing Liner Brush. But the things with this one is really long. The handle is super long. I would quite like them to do a mini version of this brush, because again, I do find that this knocks into the mirror whenever I'm using it. Couple more Zoeva ones. This one here is a petite eye blender. So this is really good for packing on eyeshadow for like a halo eye effect. So if you really want to pack on pigment and be really precise with it, it's also quite good for putting shadow on your lower lash line as well. Again, a really handy brush. Probably one that I could probably do with having a couple more of. And then last Zoeva brush I think I've got is the fine liner. So this one is for like pots of gel liner, which I don't own. So this one I actually don't think I have used, and it's just a really like thin, hard brush. So I'm not really sure how else I could use this. Maybe for putting like a brown eyeshadow in my brow perhaps, or maybe as a liner. I'm not sure. Probably need to give this one a go actually. Okay, back to Morphe. I do have some Morphe eyeshadow brushes actually. I thought I did get rid of them. Maybe I got rid of a couple of the face brushes from them instead actually. So this one here, again, doesn't really say what it is, but it is just a standard sort of like domed eyeshadow brush. Quite handy for like a crease colour, just blending out your overall eyeshadow look, but it is quite big. I think sometimes I have used this as a concealer brush as well. This one here is similar to the previous one, but it is slanted, it's more angular, so possibly more for the outer V of your eye. But yeah, the brush itself is quite big. So I guess if you want a really diffused, soft eyeshadow look, this is probably the brush to go for. And then the last brush from Morphe here is a pointed brush, possibly good for like a halo eye. Again, I'm not really too sure. I don't tend to use these Morphe eyeshadow brushes. I go for like my Zoeva ones, but because it's got the real pointy tip to it, you can be really precise with this one. So maybe this one is more for like a halo eye, or packing on a dark pigment, or just running underneath your lash line. I do have some Ecotools, and these are like mini ones. So these ones are so handy. I love a mini makeup brush. So I have a big one here. This is one that I tend to use with MAC blank type, so an all over nude eyeshadow. You can really pack on loads of pigment, sweep that over. Really, really handy brush to have, and the handle as well is quite nice and compact. And I got those eyeshadow brushes in a set. Also in that set is this angled one here. So again, like my other angled brushes, but just a mini one. And the Ecotools are so soft. Really good quality as well. I have had these for years, probably like 5 years perhaps, and they're still going strong. Then I've got just a standard sort of blending brush, quite kind of handy for the crease, blending out a soft transition shade. And then I've got a really small, flat, domed, compact brush, really handy for like an inner corner crease colour, or to put colour underneath your lash line, or to blend out a liner on your upper lid. Again, another one I probably need to get more than one of. Then I've got a couple of Urban Decay ones. This one came with the Naked 2 palette that I decluttered years ago probably. So I kept the brush. I don't mind the brushes that come with the Urban Decay palettes. This one is a really nice fluffy brush for transition shades, and then you've got that kind of more compact brush on the other end. And then a similar sort of brush that came with the Naked Heat. So this end is more of a compact blending brush. So this one isn't as fluffy. And then you have a slightly thicker compact brush for packing on pigment. And then last few brushes, this one is a Spectrum brush that I got from a recommendation when I was watching one of Soph's videos, because this was meant to be a really good brush for packing on real foiled or glittery eyeshadows. I think it's alright, but to be honest, I do tend to just use my finger when it comes to those types of eyeshadows. And this one is the A07, in case you were wondering of a brush number. And I like that it's pink as well. It's a real girly brush in my collection. Last few brushes then. This one is a Wet n Wild brush. This one I bought because I needed to get my order over a certain amount for free delivery. Nice that it's got like a little groove there to put your finger or your thumb in. So that's quite handy in terms of like holding the brush. Again, not bad. I have another Bare Minerals one. This one came from my Bare Minerals palette, the purpley pink one. The Ready Eyeshadows, I think it was called. I can't remember. And this one's quite nice. This is quite a sort of small double-ended brush. So this end is like your packer brush, and then this end is your fluffy like blending brush. Quite a nice brush. It's very thin, very like fine to hold. You can be quite precise with it. Very soft bristles as well. This is one that I use quite often. This is an Estee Lauder one, and this one came in one of those Christmas sets that I've spoken about quite a few times on my channel. Really, really handy. Use this for my transition shade, for blending out overall eyeshadow looks as well. So again, really like this one. And this isn't super long in terms of like the handle length as well. This is quite a nice one. This is a number 7 smoky eye brush that I got in a number 7 advent calendar quite a few years ago, but it's a really handy one for an inner corner highlight or for blending out a liner or running shadow underneath your lower lash line. It's a really handy brush. I use this one quite a bit, as you can tell by the handle, because it's really starting to like wear away. Then I've got a little one here that I got from Superdrug. It says Studio, and this is a really dense like eyeliner type brush. So again, a really nice handy one to have in your collection. And then this is my only lip brush. I tend to kind of use this with more sort of like red lipsticks, for those lipsticks where I kind of need to be precise. And this one is by NYX. It's not too bad. It's a bit of a difficult brush to kind of clean, probably because I'm using lipstick with it as well, but quite handy to have a lip brush in, like I say, for those more dark or red lipsticks where you have to be a bit more precise with it. So those are my makeup brushes that I own. So hopefully you found that a little bit interesting or a bit useful perhaps. Maybe you've thought, oh, that one looks like a good brush, I'm going to pick up one of those. If you have any of these brushes here that I have in my collection and you also like them, or if you don't, please let me know in the comments down below. Always handy to hear your thoughts. Or if you have any other sort of brush recommendations as well, any brushes that you think I should add to my collection, again, please let me know. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!